Welcome to the Sweet Smiles podcast, where smiles are baked into every story. I'm Chelsea Bogg, Marketing Director with Icing Smiles, and in this podcast, we share the heartfelt stories of the families, volunteer bakers, donors, and community members who make our mission possible. Every dream cake has a story behind it, and today we're sharing one of those stories. Today, we're starting at the very beginning with the person who made all of this possible, our founder, Tracy Quisenberry. Tracy, I'm so excited to have you here today and the opportunity for you to share your story.
Thank you, Chelsea. Happy to share.
So we're going to start with the very beginning. Can you take us back to the moment when the idea for Icing Smiles came to you?
So it's actually funny because there really wasn't this one big light bulb moment. I like to refer to it as a puzzle. And I was given all these pieces of a puzzle from probably college on. And it wasn't until I had younger kids that the pieces of the puzzle started to come together. Do you want a couple of the pieces of the puzzle?
Yes, would love to hear it.
So I would say one of the biggest pieces was I went to Penn State and participated in their dance marathon. And Penn State's dance marathon is the largest student-run philanthropic fundraiser in the world. This year, I think they raised over $19 million.
That's incredible.
It's an experience. I mean, you dance for 46 to 48 hours. They brought in the kids from the organization that they were raising funds for. And these kids are going through chemo, and it's evident that they were sick, but they were happy as can be. Like, you wouldn't know. And they're running around and they're talking to us. And I was like, they were so inspirational. Like, if they can handle what they're going through, we can certainly stand for 46 hours. So it was really neat. So I would say that was probably one of the largest puzzle pieces. Second one, at Penn State, I was an accounting major and got into the field, and I did it for stability, to be able to financially take care of my kids no matter what happened in the future. But there was always something missing. And it was the corporate world. I was doing great, but there was something missing, and I felt like I was meant to do. And then finally, I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I have kids of my own, and they were both born premature. Neither born significantly premature. One was 6 weeks, one was 5. My daughter was a NICU baby. And that fear when she was taken from me to go to the NICU was like nothing I knew to experience or was prepared for at all. And she was only there a week. It really was not like, I look at her now and she's a nuclear engineer in the Navy. She's fine. 3 years later, my son was also born premature. And while he was not a NICU baby, he did have chronic health issues for the first 2 years of his life. And it took a really long time to get a diagnosis. I mean, he was either on an antibiotic or he had pneumonia. It was one or the other. And it turned our lives completely upside down. And I just felt like I had to take family medical leave from my day job. And it made me really feel for the parents that are dealing with sick kids. So a lot of people, like I said, think that it was one big thing. It really wasn't. It was a bunch. And they also think that it's about the kids. And I'll be honest, as much as I love the benefit of the impact on the kids, it was really about the medical moms. It's about giving them something that they could give to their kids. They tend to get forgotten. Everybody focuses on the sick kid. And you've got moms there that are really struggling.
It's so true. The weight that this can take off of somebody can speak firsthand too, that it really makes that big impact. But that kind of gets me into, why cake? It's a question with Icing Smiles that we ask often. But what made you feel in those moments that cake was going to be that thing that made the meaningful difference for these families?
So I'm glad you asked that question, because that's kind of another part of the puzzle piece, right?
Yeah.
So when Justin was sick, and I was on family medical leave, he was just turning 1, and I wasn't bringing in money, and we were kind of counting on 2 salaries, and I wanted to throw him a big first birthday party. Started looking at the price of cakes and was like, "Whoo, can't do that right now." So I made my own, and that's really how it got started. And this is one of my favorite stories because the cake was horrendous. I didn't start with a simple little sheet cake with some frosting on it. Like I went and I got the rubber duck 3D pan from Wilton. And it's funny because I only bought one tip. I bought the star tip and that was all I bought. And I bought some bags and so I made the cake and I was like, oh, this is not going to be enough cake. So I made a sheet cake and I put it on the sheet cake, but I didn't know I was supposed to level the cake. So it was like I put a rubber duck on top of a bathtub. Bathtub was the sheet cake, but the water was like sitting up here and the edge of the tub was here and the duck sat on top. And it was horrible. I look back and I'm so embarrassed. I showed a picture to work the following week and one of the girls who work for me says, you made a pineapple cake? So it was that bad. So here's the deal. People came into the party and it was the talk of the party, and not because it was horrible. It was the talk of the party because they're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe you took so much time to do this. This is your first cake. And it just had such an impact on the tone of the event. And all of the kids, it's the first thing they went to when they walked in and they wanted to touch it. And it made the event. And I realized something so small can have such an impact. I fell in love with the craft. And then I wanted to give my cakes away. So what do I do with them? I called around a McDonald's house, and that was really the start of it. So that's why cake. It's because there is such an intangible to that medium. They always say baking is a love language, and you add decorating on top of it and the impact that especially decorated cake has. It just felt natural.
I love that. It's really cool how each of those puzzle pieces start to come together
Well,
and it formed into this incredible nonprofit. So that'll lead us a little bit into how things really got started. Can you talk us through those first dream cakes and how you were able to get bakers who are willing to say yes and be a part of this?
So when I started Icing Smiles, I never thought I'd find enough people to be willing to give away their cakes. I was living in Central Ohio at the time and had some connections with nurses in my neighborhood. They connected me with Violet, who was the very first child that we served a dream cake for. And I poured my heart and soul into this cake for Violet, and she just wanted a girly cake. That was all I was told. So she was the first one, and it was a connection through a friend. And then I got outed by friends in Maryland and other places in the US, my contacts through Penn State, and they shared what I had posted on Icing Smiles. And one thing led to another. And then I started to get additional requests. And Violet's parents posted, and it was a slow start, but I was like, what do I do? I mean, I'd never started a business. I did incorporate by this time because I wanted the liability protection. That was all. I had no vision of Icing Smiles being a national or international organization. It was a nice thing to do while my kids were at school. And I was a stay-at-home mom for the first time. And I was like, how better to fill my time than to give back and impact lives? I thought it was a nice thing to do. And then it just caught on.
So we need to know, how did you find those first bakers to be a part of Icing Smiles?
It was cold calls. I kid you not. I didn't have a volunteer application. I didn't even have an application for the families. There was no infrastructure. We got a request for a child in New York City who from Colorado was undergoing treatment at Sloan Kettering. And I said, okay, New York City, big cake market, a lot of amazing artists. So I picked up the phone and I contacted, for any of you in the industry that are listening, I contacted Buddy Velastro. I contacted Ann Heap from Pink Cake Box, Elisa Strauss, and Kate Sullivan.
I love your willingness to go for it. You you hit all the big ones.
Chelsea, I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't know who I was going after. The funny part was, as I'm calling, I have a bookshelf of cookbooks behind me, and I turn around and I realized I have Kate Sullivan's book on my shelf, and I have Elisa Strauss's book on my shelf. And I'm like, oh, whoa, that's who I'm contacting? Well, the amazing thing is most expressed an interest. Kate was the one who got that call to action, what we now call our calls to action. And she did such an amazing job with this cake. She delivered it to Sloan Kettering. It was a 3-dimensional Yoshi cake. And just absolute, I mean, I can still visualize it. Absolutely. I was like dumbfounded. I was like, I cannot believe she did this. Like, whoa. Well, she also happened to be working for Parents Magazine. And Parents Magazine picked up her blog post about her experience, and we got published. 6 months into this venture.
Nothing like going from 0 to 100. I mean, something you didn't realize going into was going to be this national organization to be picked up by such a big magazine.
Yep.
How'd the demand go from there?
So that very day, I got 300 email inquiries about volunteering. And I will never forget it. I was with my kids at the Columbus Zoo, and I was like, my phone is blowing up. Whoa, I have no idea what to do with this. And it literally from that point forward, Chelsea, it was a runaway train. It took a good 5 years to get the infrastructure established and to get good policies and procedures in place and applications and technology and Pantone colors. I didn't know what a Pantone color was, much less how I should use it with my logo. I'm an accountant by trade.
It goes to show Icing Smiles and what we do. It's so impactful. It's so powerful. But the behind the scenes, there's so much to a nonprofit, and there's so much good that people want to put
Yeah.
into this world. Your accountant background, your business structure means so much to ensure that Icing Smiles thrives and is able to complete everything we sign ourselves up for.
Yes. I truly believe that my degree was part of that puzzle because without it, we really wouldn't have gotten off the ground. Because to apply, have you ever seen the application for 501c3 status from the IRS? It's daunting. And the terminology, and if I didn't have a master's degree in tax, I wouldn't have taken it on.
Incredible what you were able to take. And we are 16 years into Icing
Yeah.
Smiles, which is phenomenal. The leaps and bounds. You mentioned the 5 years it took to really get the thing rolling. But even after those 5 years, the growth that has happened over these years, there's been so much emotion, so much power, so many families served. Is there a particular family or cake story that sticks out that you want to share the story of today?
Oh boy, my favorite story. I honestly could take up a good 3 hours telling just amazing stories, but there is one that I always go back to as one of the most impactful. And I always get choked up the minute I start telling the story. So we had a dream cake request in Kansas City, and it was a last minute request because the child was on hospice, and we had to push up the original date by a lot because they knew he was not going to make it until his next birthday. So we were blessed to have an amazing Food Network baker in the area who accepts every call to action we give him. Mike Elder of Black Sheep Custom Cakes, every call to action. He heard the story and jumped in. Like Kate Sullivan ended up with this crazy structure, 3-dimensional, probably 3+ feet tall Diego cake. Almost looked like a stuffed animal. Like it was crazy. He sent me a picture, and it was him delivering the cake and sending the cake next to this child. Well, it was very evident from the picture that it was an end of life situation. And for anyone who's experienced this, they know that end of life, especially for cancer kids, they sleep a lot. So I thought we were too late. Like he's not even going to know that it's there. But we did our job, and we probably made a mom very happy. And well, unfortunately, that was on a Saturday, and the child passed the very next day. Monday morning, I turned on my computer and found an email from the mom who took the time the day after her son passed away just to thank us and say, I never expected my son's last day on earth was going to be a celebration. And that's what the gift that you guys gave me. And I mean, when you have that kind of impact with a cake, how cool is our job? It's amazing. You know what? 16 years, if we only have one like that, it's worth every second. And there are others.
I was gonna say, and the beautiful thing is there's not just one. I mean, each of us could sit here again for hours and rattle off the incredible stories that we firsthand have got to be a part of, that we have heard from our network of amazing volunteers. Every day, cakes are being served and mountains are being moved and smiles are happening
Yep.
because of cake.
Yes. Yes.
It's beautiful.
Yes.
Well, thank you for sharing that story. It's one of my favorite as well. Is there anything specific that you hear from families? We talk a lot about the ricochet effect. It's for the child, but then it affects the parents because it took a weight off them. They see the joy.
Mhm.
Then it affects the hospital staff that was there and was present. It affects the neighbor who came to the birthday party. What's the feedback from outside sources? Who do you hear from?
Mhm. I think you just described it. It's all of those things. And the funny part is our very first cake for Violet, it was because of the ricochet effect happened. I delivered the cake and it was a really bad day for Violet. And she had had a lot of morphine in her and she didn't have much of a reaction. They were clearly grateful. Don't get me wrong. It made me realize that they needed a cure and I'm delivering a cake. And it made me question whether it made sense to do this or not. But it wasn't till I was leaving the hospital and there was a couple standing there, an older couple, and their back was to me and they were holding balloons and they're talking to the receptionist. And the woman was holding her out her phone to show the receptionist something. And she says to the receptionist, look at what they just brought up to my baby. She says, maybe now they have something to smile about. And I thought, I wonder what they brought up. And sure enough, as I'm walking out the door, I hear the receptionist say, yeah, I saw the cake when it came in. It was perfect for Violet. And I realized that was Violet's grandmother. And that, again, if Violet didn't feel it, if Violet's mom didn't feel it, the grandparents who are struggling right next to them felt it. The receptionist it impacted. It's really hard to be I don't want to say sad. It's really hard not to smile around a cool cake. Anyone who sees it is impacted. And then you tell the stories. And then it becomes, oh, well, what can I be doing for others? If a cake can have this impact, what can I do to have an impact on somebody's life?
One of the people too, as a part of that ricochet effect, is the sugar angel or the baker themselves. You
Oh,
know,
good point.
it's a joy to be able to bake this cake. People who attend a birthday party who purchase and pay for a cake, cake brings smiles. And this is a cake that our bakers are volunteering themselves, donating and putting so much time, love, and energy. I mean, these aren't just sheet cakes. They're not just a cake you can go and grab off of a shelf at a store. The love behind every single cake that goes out through Icing Smiles is huge.
Absolutely.
So that brings me into part of when we just talked about it, but what makes this Sugar Angel community so incredibly special?
For me personally, they restore my faith in humanity. I'm, as of next week, we've done 35,000 cakes. We have filled almost every request that has come in the door. And that tells me you've got an amazing base of volunteers that are willing to step up. And you have those stories of families, especially when we were just getting off the ground and our volunteer base wasn't as strong. Sugar Angel is willing to drive 4 hours each way to serve a family. To your point, Chelsea, if you're not a sugar artist, you're looking at a minimum of hours that go into each one of these cakes with the
Yeah.
planning and the purchasing and the cleanup and the baking and the decorating and the delivering in some cases. It's a lot of investment on the part of our sugar angels and they make it willingly. It's
It's
amazing.
amazing that we have so many Sugar Angels who can I do another cake? When's my next cake?
Yes.
We have a network of 14,000 bakers around the United States registered with our program.
Mhm.
And that number alone should show the power and the impact of who we are and what we do from the family side and those incredible cakes that we serve, but also from the baker side and the want to be a part of this amazing organization.
Yes. Absolutely.
I love it. So, has anything surprised you about the impact that the organization has had?
I think it's that ricochet, right? I don't think I had intended or understood the depth of the impact. I don't think I ever realized that there would be people out there that request an Icing Smiles cake. I never intended or understood what the impact was going to be. So I think what surprised me the most is just how deep the impact is. It's the stories that I already told you. It's the teenager with terminal cancer who says before she passes, she just wants an Icing Smiles cake because she wants a reason to invite her friends over to say goodbye. And think about it, right? It gives her a reason, and it's much less somber than just to say, come on over and say goodbye. It's come on over and share a cake with me.
It's a reason to celebrate. And
It's absolutely a reason to celebrate.
yeah, the families that we serve deal with more than anybody should in a lifetime.
No doubt.
And creating those moments of joy, smile, happiness really shows the power of what we do.
Absolutely.
So let's talk a little bit about how Icing Smiles has grown since those early days. What has been put in place to allow us to handle this massive growth?
So we had reached what I would say is our cap just prior to COVID, where we were handling, somewhere between 2,000 and 3,000 cakes a year. And we knew we were tapped from an administrative perspective. We were doing things very manually. So we did not have a CRM, or we didn't automate our processes the way we could. When we were going to send emails, they were being copied and pasted into Outlook. It was very cumbersome and very, very volunteer dependent. During COVID, when everything shut down, we turned our focus to implementing technology that would allow us to scale. And it's one of probably our greatest accomplishments. We did this in house with a board member and our technology manager. And it's amazing. A lot of companies that are much larger than us can't do it. So I'm really proud of the team. Our processes are automated now, and we're set for growth. I would say that's probably one of our greatest accomplishments. We have a saying here: if we're not failing, we're not pushing ourselves hard enough. So there's always things that we want to be improving on and doing to set ourselves up for growth and success.
I love everybody on the board, on the administrative team. There's so many hands in the pot, but everybody wants growth.
Yeah,
Everyone wants success, and everyone wants to make sure that any child eligible for a cake can be served. And so now there's no longer that, okay, we're tapped. I'm sorry, we can't take your cake. Are like,
right.
how do we serve you? Because that's what we're
Yes,
here to do.
exactly.
Looking forward, we talk about now we have that infrastructure set up. We want this growth. What are you most excited about for the future of Icing Smiles?
Some things that I probably can't say yet, but I think the fact that we're poised for the growth and really starting to focus our attention on getting involved in local communities. We really needed that infrastructure at the corporate level or the national level to be able to handle potential growth that comes from building a team of ambassadors all across the US. I'm really excited about that and see where that can take us, because ultimately we really believe that general awareness about our mission is critical. It's going to drive demand, it's going to drive volunteers, and it's going to drive the donations. We are right now effectively 100% volunteer driven. We're doing amazing things with very little. And we need to be able to get to a place where we can do things or consider things like expanding our mission, right? Are there other populations we can be serving? But we can't do that without the proper funding. So that's kind of our next step is let's get those boots on the ground to help us bring general awareness to our mission, which will hopefully bring the funding with it for us to be able to expand what we do.
I love it. Shelly and I had a great conversation about the local outreach ambassador program. Definitely go tune in, check that one out. But something Shelly and I talked a lot about also is the want to be a household name. And this is how we're going to get there.
Yeah.
We believe that Icing Smiles is something everybody should know about, and this growth is going to help us get there.
Yes.
If someone's listening right now and wants to support our mission, what would you tell them?
If I'm being honest, Like right out of the gate, I would say cash is king. That's the hardest part of what we do. None of us are fundraisers. We're all in this mission because we love the mission. So I would not be doing my job if I didn't say that we need the funding, we need donations. If that's not where you're inclined, we always need help when it comes to, the business side. Become an ambassador. Help us execute, tend events in your area. Do a digital campaign, share on social media. But if you have a special skill set, reach out to us and we'll figure out how to plug you into our administrative team and see how we can use that special skill. So always looking for more. You never know when it's going to be your neighbor that's going to be the one we're serving.
I love it. And it shows that it doesn't matter what your skill set is. You as a tax accountant,
Yeah.
in baking, marketing, we have a place for everybody as a part of Icing Smiles. If you feel called to our mission, if you're passionate behind what we're doing, come join us.
Absolutely. The more the merrier. Can't do it without the help.
Exactly. So I'm going to end with one last question. What does Icing Smiles mean to you in one word?
Purpose.
I love it. It's a great one. Tracy, thank you so much for being here today, sharing your heart and telling the story. Thank you to everyone listening. If this story touched you, we invite you to learn more. Go to www.icingsmiles.org.
Awesome. Thanks, Chelsea.
Thank you. Thank you for listening to the Sweet Smiles podcast, where smiles are baked into every story. If today's story inspired you, we invite you to learn more about how you can support the mission of Icing Smiles, whether that's by volunteering, donating, or simply sharing our story. You can find out more information at www.icingsmiles.org. Until next time, keep spreading kindness and helping us bake more smiles.